on May 17th, 2018, my second full day in Grenada, I got to dive the Bianca Sea as my first dive of the day. The Bianca Sea is also known as the Titanic of the Caribbean, and has an interesting but tragic history, actually being sunk twice. She was originally a French ship, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize now for my awful pronunciation of French names. Her original name was Maréchal Pétain, and built at Construction Navales La Ciotat during World War II and launched in June of 1944. While still under construction, she was towed to Port du Boc. That August, while at Port du Boc, she was torpedoed by the Germans. The hull was raised, renamed La Marseillaise, and towed to Toulon, and then back to La Ciotat and refitted to be a cruise ship, after which she sailed to Yokohama in 1949. In 1957, she was sold to Arusa Line out of Panama and once again refitted and renamed to be the company's flagship, the Arosa Sky. She was then chartered to carry students between the U.S. and Europe by an organization called American Field Service. After only 2 years, Arosa had to sell her to an Italian company called Costa Line, also known as Linea C. I don't know, my Italian's about as bad as my French. She was once again renamed and refitted in 1959, finally becoming the Bianca C, which, if you follow mariner superstition, was bad luck and a terrible idea, since she was the second ship that Costa Line had given that name to. She was named Bianca after one of the owner's daughters. Now she ran passengers from Italy to Venezuela and making stops on her way through the Caribbean. In the afternoon of October 21st, 1961, she left LaGuardia in Venezuela for Tenerife in the Canary Islands, making a stop in Grenada along the way. In the early morning of October 22nd, while docked in Grenada, an explosion ripped through the engine room, killing 1 crewman and injuring 8 others. About 700 passengers and crew rushed to abandon ship as fires began to break out. The sound of the explosion woke the people of St. George's, and fishermen and other boat owners rushed to the rescue. Makeshift hospitals were set up in St. George's to provide treatment, food, and shelter to the survivors. At the time, Grenada didn't have a way to put out the fire, so they sent out a call for help. The British frigate, the HMS Londonderry, left Puerto Rico and arrived in Grenada 2 days later. The Bianca Sea had already begun to sink, but was still on fire and still at the main anchorage in St. George's Harbor. If she sank there, the harbor would be blocked, so the Londonderry sent crew members to board the Bianca Sea and attach a tow line so they could tow the still-burning ship from the mouth of the harbor. Her anchors are still there. The Bianca Sea was listing to port when the Londonderry began to tow her. After 6 hours and only 3 miles, a storm blew in, breaking the tow line and sinking the Bianca Sea. She now rests at 165 feet, with the top of the wreck at about 100. 1 mile from the beautiful Grand Anse Beach. A firm from Trinidad salvaged the propellers and sold them for scrap in the 1970s. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, some parts were taken from the wreck by irreverent divers. And to all you divers watching, do not do stuff like that. Leave things alone. Have some respect. The ship began to deteriorate quickly after the rear third of the ship broke off. She's still the region's largest wreck at 600 feet long. The Bianca Sea has been named one of the world's top 10 wreck dive sites. This was truly a memorable dive. It was really cool, and I highly recommend it to anybody given the opportunity. Also, I would suggest getting your nitrox certification for this dive because of the extended no decompression limit. The video you're watching is the footage that I took when I got to dive this wreck. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it to everybody. I look forward to your comments. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it at least somewhat informative. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.